Can you imagine what that was like to start from scratch, basically, to build a hospital?
It's a community hospital, always has been a community hospital, and that is key. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. If you're sick, come on in and we'll take care of you.
It was the vision, I guess, of A.P. Green and some other community leaders that if we were going to be a progressive community, we needed to have a hospital.
He really took the lead by going to the state of Missouri to help support the Missouri Hospital Act in 1917.
March 18th, 1918, the cornerstone was laid for Audrain Hospital, and it was a joyous occasion for the community.
This hospital, Audrain County Hospital, was the first hospital formed under that new legislation.
It opened on Christmas Day in 1920, so very fitting.
Nursing staff was really interesting back then, and I've always heard these stories about all the things that nurses did, from carrying in the coal for the boiler, to doing the laundry, to actually providing nursing care, too. Fixing dinner, that's right, they cooked. It's amazing anyone went into nursing, isn't it? That was back in the days when nurses were supposed to be unmarried, single ladies.
So the nurses' building that was built in 1935, that was certainly in the era when nurses lived at the hospital. I'm sure they still feel like they do.
It was used for that purpose until the early 60s, when the hospital needed to have the dorm turned around so that the configuration matched the rest of the hospital. So they actually picked this brick building up, turned it around, and the hallway then went east and west, which was consistent with the rest of the main hallways. The medical staff was integrated by the end of the 40s, and the patient population was also integrated together into the regular patient population without any notoriety or without any particular notice. I think that's remarkable.
One of the most famous things from this hospital in the 1950s, I believe. They had the Supreme Court decision on osteopathic and allopathic medicine could actually be practiced at the same hospital and given the same rights.
I think it was actually a regulation that they could not practice in the same hospital. And the local board decided to challenge that through the courts. And that's how that decision happened.
The community has been wonderful over the years, not only financially, but just in general with their interest of health, certainly with an interest in cardiology care as well as oncology care, and then mental health. I believe our community has just been very supportive of mental health care. In 1969, there was a special edition that was built for mental health services that included both outpatient and inpatient mental health services.
And then because J.B. Arthur had donated the land, it was renamed Arthur Center then in 1992. When we moved to Mexico in 1968, it was Audrain County Hospital. And then I think it was about 1970, the name was changed to Audrain Medical Center because we were supplying a lot more health care than we thought was a county hospital.
The Audrain Medical Center was the main institution for taking care of all patients regardless of their wealth, race, or ability to pay. When I first came, you would come into the hospital literally and spend 7 days. That would be very common. So people would come actually with their suitcase and come in for, quotes, a checkup. If you had a simple hernia repair, you'd spend 5 days in the hospital. A gallbladder, you'd spend 7 days in the hospital. Anything major wouldn't be uncommon to be 2 weeks. It was very common for the nurses and the doctors to smoke in the hospital. Years ago, I smoked a pipe. Me and one of the other surgeons, and they could tell when we were making rounds because they could smell the scent of the vanilla tobacco. Of course, nowadays that would be unheard of and against the law, actually. So things have changed dramatically.
There's been the groundbreaking gifts by the Arthur family and Jordan Waters Heart Center. Those people made large seed gifts to get those campaigns off the ground.
It was amazing how the community just came together and offered. I mean, people gave money, they just offered it to know that we would do cancer treatment here. At that time, we did not have radiation, and so to drive from here even to Columbia or St. Louis to get your radiation was, my patients would describe it as a full-time job. And so to have that radiation here was so nice for the patients, and they were so happy.
We raised, I think it was around $2.2 million. So we're very fortunate to have a generous community that supports us and has over the years.
And also for our cardiology, we had lots of donations for that. Also from people from Vandalia, the Waters family donated lots of money for that, which was very helpful. They happened to be one of our patients. They donated for that program to take off and to have new equipment and the state-of-the-art.
Last year, we were the recipient of the Auxiliary Award through the Missouri Hospital Association for hospitals that are 50 beds or less. And in reviewing that application, we heard they were so impressed was two things. One, the number of volunteers that we had, and secondly, the amount of donations that we received as a result of our fundraising efforts.
When I started working for Audrain Medical Center in 1992, we were actually working in the ER as patient caregivers and running on the ambulance at the same time. And we did that for many years. Later, they decided that the ambulance crew was getting busy enough where we could not leave the ER, leave our patient. So they actually removed us from the ER and still employed us through Audrain Medical Center and give us our own little areas to stay until we had ambulance calls.
And then we purchased an older home just across the street that at least gave them that opportunity to function more like typical ambulance districts do, that type of setting that they need in between runs because they're typically working 24-hour shifts.
The hospital for several years considered affiliation. We were an independent hospital for all those years, and as healthcare changed, as the way the government was involved in providing healthcare and Medicare and Medicaid, it became apparent that the Audrain County Hospital should look for a partner, and that occurred back, I believe, in 2014. SSM was a good fit for this hospital, and we chose to affiliate with them.
Audrain Medical Center was looking for a relationship with another strong organization, too. So it made sense in terms of looking at the two missions.
I think what's different is that our staff really are here because they're serving the community. They care dearly about their patients and families. Sometimes they are literally their neighbors, and if they're not, they're certainly treating them like neighbors and family. And I think just having that deep level of connection with patients and families, as well as each other, is what sets us apart.
Once you treat them, you may be in a grocery store, Walmart, they will come up and say, hey, you took care of me this time, so it's a good feeling.
This is a hometown community, and we take care of each other, and the hospital is a large part of doing that. And when there is a need, we rise up and we address that need.
The people I have as my patients are my friends, and I see them at church, I see them at the store, I see them when we go out to dinner. So it's nice, but yet it hurts sometimes because you get close to them. Who else would you like to take care of you? Someone you're close to, so it's nice.
In the big city, I would probably never see one of my patients outside of the office. But now, on a daily basis, on aisle 3 in Walmart is showing me their incision, so it's very common.
It's certainly an economic driver, large payroll. It has been at times the largest employer in Audrain County, so it's an economic cog.
It has so many effects because people want to make sure, whether they come here as a teacher or a principal or whatever they do, that they want to be able to have care close to home, and I think that's important.
I think that it's wonderful that we have a hospital here. I think it would be very difficult to live here without a hospital.
Having a hospital is something that a community is very, very proud of, and that's one of the means that they can attract other businesses, other professional people to come in. So it's very, very important.
People take the hospital for granted, but man, oh man, if you're in trouble and you're looking for someplace fast, professional, efficient, caring, the hospital's here for you. Taking it for granted maybe it goes away real quickly when you're in need.
Patients place a sacred trust in us to care for them, and we take that very seriously.
I love the work. We don't do it for the money. We do it to help people.
This community looks toward another 100 years and anticipates having a healthcare system still here.